Okay, welcome back. This is part 2 of our video for the project 3 in Excel, We Save You National Bank. The next thing we need to do is create what's called an amortization schedule. This is just basically where we see how our loan is going to get paid off year by year. We're going to start off by changing the width of column E. Just right click on the E and go down to where it says column width. We're just going to make this 3 characters wide. We want it just to be a nice thin little separator. We're going to add our title up here in F1. This is going to be amortization schedule. Okay, that's going to go up there. Then we're going to add a series of column headings. So starting in F2, we're going to have year. In G2, it's going to be beginning balance. Now we're going to use a line break. That's Alt-Enter. If it kind of messes up because it wraps weird, don't worry about it. We'll fix that later. Then we have the ending balance. Again, line break. We have paid on principal. And then finally we have interest paid. Now, principal right here that's used right there, that is how much we owe on our loan. That's the principal. When you get done typing all those in, we're going to go ahead and merge and center this title over top of these columns. And we're going to center all of our text in these columns right here. Now, if the text is wrapping weird on this column, just widen it out by clicking and dragging out to the right a little bit like that. And notice mine didn't readjust the height for some reason. So I'm going to come over here, put my mouse under the number 2, click, and drag up a little bit. Alright, so the first thing we need to do is we need to create a fill series right here with all of our years. It's going to start with year number 1. We'll enter down and then put in year number 2. If you will select both of those, then grab the fill handle, you're going to click and drag down until you get down to year number 30. So we'll go all the way down to year number 30. Okay, so this comes down through number 30. Now, let's just go ahead and center this. It's going to look a lot nicer if we do that. Our beginning balance is a very simple formula. We simply tell it equals and then go click on the loan amount. So that's how much we owe at the beginning of our first year. So that's the beginning balance. The ending balance is a little bit different. We're going to use a formula we haven't used before. And this formula is called the present value formula, or PV formula. What we're doing is similar to our payment formula, only kind of in reverse. We have the payment. We want to figure how much loan we still owe. All right, so let's go click on FX. Up here at the top, go ahead and type in the letters PV and then hit go. So if I type in PV and hit go, it'll go find the PV function right here. Just double click on it so it'll put it in. Now, a lot of this looks very similar to our payment. All right, we still have our rate, so we go select the rate. And if you remember from the last video, you always divide that by 12. Now the next one is a little bit tricky because we're looking for not the total number of payments in the whole loan, we're looking for the total number of payments left on the loan. So at the end of the year, we don't have the same number of payments that we had at the beginning. So what we're going to do is we're going to use some parentheses. We're going to select the years, then we're going to subtract F3. Okay, so this is year 1. At the end of year 1, we'll take our loan minus 1, and that'll give us 29 years. And when we close our parentheses right here, you'll see how it says 29. Remember, though, there are 12 payments per year, so we need to multiply that times 12. So this tells us we have 348 payments left at the end of first year. The last line that we're going to use is PMT. It's not the loan amount, it's the payment amount. Now we do the same thing. We still press a minus, then just go click where you have your payment. When you hit OK, this is going to tell us how much we owe on our loan at the end of this year. So to figure out what our paid on principal is, we simply go in and hit equals. We take the beginning balance and we subtract the ending balance. That's going to tell us how much of our loan we've paid off in our first year. So what we want to do next is we want to figure out how much of what we paid the bank was actually interest. To do that, I'm simply going to go equals. I'm going to take 12 times our payment. Okay, that tells me how much money I actually sent to the bank, and then I subtract the amount that we paid on principal. So the difference between the two is all interest. So our first year, we paid this much off of our loan, and the rest of it was all interest to the bank. The next thing we want to do is come down here to our beginning balance for year 2. The beginning balance for year 2 simply equals the ending balance from year 1. Now, the hashtags just simply mean that I need to widen out my column so I can see it a little better. Now we're going to take this formula and we're going to copy it down using our fill handle. It's going to give us a bunch of zeros, and that's okay. It should give us zeros. So don't worry about that. Now we're going to go back up here to the top. We're going to select these 3 formulas right here, and we're going to copy all 3 of them down. And so what you see is the amount that we owe the bank slowly decreasing until we get down to 0. Our last year, the $7,064 represents how much was paid off the loan. The $154 is simply interest. We're going to go ahead and add some labels now down here at the bottom. We're going to do a subtotal right here. Then we're going to have our down payment. And then we're going to have our total cost. For our subtotal, I'm just going to use my auto sum button here in column I to add up the whole column. We're going to do the same thing under column J. The down payment we're going to keep in J right here. Just simply hit equal and then go on up and click on the original down payment for your formula. Then you can hit your enter key. So the total cost down here at the bottom, the last formula that we put in, is going to be equals. We're going to take the subtotal right here. We're going to add to that the subtotal from the next column and add to that our down payment. So you're just adding those 3 together and you hit enter. And so this number right here should equal that number right there, which it does. Now we're going to do a little bit of formatting and we're going to be finished. I'm going to zoom out a little bit so you can kind of see what we're doing a little better. We're going to select our 3 titles. I'm going to hold down my control key so I can select all 3 of them. I'm going to bump the size up to 14 points and I'm going to make it bold. The next thing we want to do is we're going to add some borders so we can kind of separate these 3 sections. So let's select this section first. Now, to add these borders, these are going to be a little bit specialized. So I'm just going to right click on this and go down to where it says Format Cells. When this opens up, go to your Border tab. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off by choosing a little bit thicker line. We're going to change the color to a dark red. And we're going to add this border around the outside. So we're going to put it around the top and the bottom, the left and the right. So this is going to make a box around our selection, all the way around the outside of it. We want a divider, though, for each of our columns. So we'll go back to a thin line. We're going to change it to black. And we're just going to put that one in the vertical up and down. So now when we hit OK, it adds the red line around the outside and a vertical black line between each of our columns. Okay? So let's go down to our next one. We're going to select our column headings and go ahead and center those. And then I want you to go ahead and select this and apply basically the same border to it that we just did a moment ago. I'm actually going to go ahead and add the black vertical line first. Change to red, a bit thicker border, top and bottom, left and right. Hit OK. And the last one we're going to do is the amortization schedule. Now on this one, when we do this, we're going to do it basically the same way, but I don't want you selecting the subtotal information at the bottom. So just select it like that. Format our cells. I'll add my thin blank line right there, then come back and do the thicker red line around the outside. So once you're done, you'll add a header to it. Make sure you save it. Save it as We Save You. And then print it out in landscape.